You are listening to the Present Moment Process podcast, the official podcast of the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society, with your hosts Chris Byrne and Sarah Simpson.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you.
You too.
So yeah, I was thinking on my walk earlier today that we did the initial episode, I guess, what was that, a month ago?
At least.
But yeah, I was thinking maybe it would be helpful if we just stated our, like, yeah, why are we doing this podcast? And what's the point of AGPS, which is the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society that we
Mhm.
started, which really is just to bring awareness and access
Yeah.
to and about group psychotherapy and process groups in general in the Asheville area, but hopefully to wherever people might be listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's good. We should have a mission statement.
Yeah.
That would basically be it, I guess.
Yeah, because we love group. That's why we started the society. That's how kind of the basis of how we met. And you and I co-lead a group together, process group for therapists. And yeah, we just love group. So we're groupies. And we're trying to have an outlet to talk about group. And I think the initial impetus of starting the AGPS in Asheville was because I moved here almost 3 years ago and discovered that Asheville is not a very group-centric town. It's quite the opposite, actually. There's not a lot of process groups in Asheville.
Yeah. And you were coming
Um,
from Austin, where there's tons.
right. Yeah. Lots and lots of groups in Austin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was kind of the reason for us starting AGPS was to like spread the word, bring awareness, have a place where other people that are interested in group
Yeah.
can meet and talk about groups.
Yeah. Also an educational forum, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we do a once a month meeting on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. The second Tuesday of the month is our monthly AGPS meeting, and we usually meet for an hour and 15 minutes at Sarah's office. And we usually have an article that we'll put out. Well, yeah, pretty much every time we meet, we'll send out an article that we sometimes discuss, sometimes not. People will
We at least
bring
mention it.
yeah, we'll at least reference it, something interesting from the article. And yeah, usually they're articles that are modern analytic related. Oftentimes it's an Ormont article or Spotnitz, but we've also discussed articles by people like Aaron Black and
Ronnie
um,
Levine.
Ronnie Levine, right, among others.
Hmm.
And then yeah, there's a lot of people that come that run groups, or we have one person that actually teaches the group psychotherapy class at Lenore Rhine.
Hmm.
So yeah, people will like staff cases or talk about, consultation opportunities.
Yeah. We have actually have 9 people who've RSVP'd for this Tuesday's meeting.
Is that our largest
Yes.
attendance?
Yeah.
Nice. So we are growing. But yeah, so then it feels like I think the podcast was an extension of this because you already have a podcast that you've done for how many years now?
About 5.
Right. So you are an established podcaster with your
Hmm.
Time and Other Thieves podcast, which is a great podcast to check
Thanks.
out. Which often you do, you had a great episode on group therapy, or a few, but one that was like just kind of like a real specific kind of like I think you really focused on Ormont's book
Yep.
and some of the key concepts.
This one.
The group therapy experience from
Yes.
theory to practice, which is a
Right.
great
Right here at my fingertips.
kind of the go-to book on modern analytic process groups if you're looking
Mhm.
for something to read.
Yeah. And ever since I've gotten interested in group, I've pretty much approached my Time and Other Thieves podcast with that coloring my perspective on whatever else I might be talking about, which is usually a certain book.
Hmm.
So even Howard Thurman's Jesus and the Disinherited, I was reading through a lens colored by group.
Oh, wow.
Because once it's in my head, that's how it tends to work for me. Like everything I read or encounter somehow applies to the thing I'm really interested in. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's
that
cool.
has been group for about 3 years now.
Yeah, and you've even done a couple of presentations or like webinars on the one you did that was like spirituality and group.
Hmm.
The other was stoicism, which you made an episode out of, or did you make episodes out of both of
I
those?
did, yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's cool. But yeah, so that was kind of the impetus of starting this podcast was like to have a place for us to talk about our experience in group and our love of group, and maybe we'll get some guests on one day.
Oh, well, definitely will. I mean, part of my vision for this podcast is to interview other members of our little society, the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society. So the teacher you mentioned, Hannah, I'd love to have her on as a
Nice. Yeah.
guest, and Stuart and Brett. And now maybe some more people are starting to come regularly. So yeah,
Right.
anybody
Yeah.
who is open to coming on the show, I'd love to chat with them.
Yeah. Something that is very important to our ongoing learning and experience of group is the Center for Group Studies, which I think we were going to maybe talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, the Center for Group Studies in New York City. They offer these weekend intensive trainings 3 times a year. And I started going, I did my first one before I started my first group. So that was in May of 2024 that I did that.
Hmm.
And I've been doing them consecutively, haven't missed one since then. And then you started a couple weekends after me. You just did your fifth weekend, and I just did my seventh.
Correct. Yep. And
Yeah.
we were actually in the same process group for that together.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know what CGS is, they're sort of like the main modern analytic group therapy training center that's based in New York City. And they have a whole training program that you can take and graduate from. But part of that is they do these 3 times a year training blocks or weekend training programs that consist of Friday through Sunday, where you are assigned to a process group that kind of goes throughout the weekend. So I think you end up doing five 90-minute process groups with the same process group throughout the weekend. And then there's like a supervision block for 90 minutes. There's a training group block for 90 minutes. And then there's a couple of workshops that are also 90 minutes. Everything is 90 minutes that they talk about in an article. And each block covers a specific topic. Like I think this last weekend was special issues and countertransference.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just a really awesome experience. Oftentimes people, when you start doing CGS, it's intense, it's interesting, it's awesome, it's stimulating. It can be like a little intimidating being in a process group with 15 people who,
Yeah, they're big.
yeah, when you first start, like my first weekend, I didn't know anybody, although you and I were in the same process group that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then you start to, as the weekends go on, you start to see the same people and get to be, oftentimes in the same process group with the same people.
Some of
Um,
whom you don't want to be in a group with, some of whom
right.
you do.
Right. A lot of different personalities and
You're like, damn it, I got this guy again.
right, right, which offers a lot of opportunity to be pushed to our edges of emotional discomfort and
Yeah, and those people will inevitably give you a chance, another chance to let them know how they impact you.
right, yes, let them know how they impact you, find out how you impact them. The goal of group is to sit with and experience and be aware of and express, put words to the emotions, the feelings that you're having towards other members in the group, towards the leader, and just within yourself. And just sitting with and naming emotions can be
Yeah,
a no easy feat, as simple as it sounds.
yeah, it can be very scary. I was really noticing and still, do the aversion to hurting someone's feelings, is very powerful.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was coming up for you a lot this past weekend?
Yeah, there was someone in our group who I genuinely like very much, but there's a way they have of talking that I find disconnecting and
Hmm.
boring.
Yes.
And I so wanted to say something like that, but it was just like, no way, man. We are not
Yeah.
doing that. That is going
There's
to
this.
hurt their feelings.
Yeah. And then what might happen if you hurt their feelings? That's the question that we always ask as group leaders of like, and then what might happen? So their feelings are hurt. But yeah, it's like, well then I have to sit with the fact that I hurt their feelings, or they
Right.
might
It's
get mad at
also,
me. I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely deep down an aversion to not wanting to have your own feelings around what might happen if you hurt them.
Hmm.
So it might be more selfish than it sounds.
Yeah, of not wanting to sit with your own the
Yeah.
feelings that come up of from potentially having hurt them or from whatever their reaction might be.
Right, right. We
Yeah.
say, oh, I don't want to hurt you, but maybe even more than that, we don't want to feel what we would feel if we
Right.
did hurt them.
Right. Which for me could be shame, it could be guilt. And, actually I have a group leader that likes to say those are sort of like non-feelings or inhibitory affect, that shame is, sort of like a cover, like underneath shame there could be sadness or fear or like, shame of, oh, if I hurt their feelings, the fear is like I'm a bad person, or just the sadness around how I feel about myself. I mean,
Hmm.
but you're right, there is a self-centered component, even though we're not aware of it, of sort of not wanting to feel our own shitty feelings, which is
Yeah,
kind of what it all comes back to, I think.
right, right. So wait, your group leader says shame is what?
My leader, Dave Kaplowitz, I'm in a training group with him, which is sort of like a process group for therapists. And he said one day when someone said they were feeling shame or guilt, he said, "Yeah, those are sort of like non-feelings." And he
Huh.
didn't literally mean those are not feelings. I mean, yes, you feel the sense of shame in your body, but I think he meant from an emotional standpoint. I've heard them also referred to as inhibitory affect, meaning that like if you're feeling shame, there's always something underneath. The shame is not allowing you to actually feel, or if you weren't feeling shame, you would be feeling a deeper sense of sadness or fear, or, shame and guilt are often made up of some kind of combination of those two, oftentimes. And maybe
Right.
there's a place where they're just purely that emotion, but I mean, that makes sense to me.
Hmm.
Because if you just say I'm feeling shame, it's like, well, shame. Yeah, there feels like that dark kind of heaviness in my chest sometimes. But if I really tune into it, there's like a sadness and a fear, or like ooh, like I'm bad, or I mean, because, shame literally says, like, guilt is like I did a bad thing. Shame is I am bad, to make it real, real simple. And if that's true, then there's a real like sadness and fear to that, I think.
Yeah, and it's also shame is very like insular, like it's just like happening inside you. It's more, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, you're feeling about yourself as
Well,
opposed to an object.
correct, you're right. You're very cut off from
Right,
other. It's hard to feel shame and feel something towards someone,
right.
or feel definitely, I mean, almost impossible to feel connected to someone when you're feeling shame.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, or I heard that the etymology of shame, it's like to hide or to cover. So
Mm.
it's like, that whole thing about shame really like living in the darkness of being cut off and disconnected. So I think the idea of shame being a non-feeling is like if you're just in shame, it's hard to feel anything else. If you're just like paying attention to the shame. But if
Mhm.
you like were to go deeper, then for me, I guess in my experience, it's yeah, usually some interesting combo of it's like when you blend colors, the primary colors of like yellow, red, and blue, right? And when you mix them, it's like this much fear, this much sadness, depending on what the circumstances are or what the thing is that yeah, shame feels like it's usually made up of those. Maybe there's anger in there too, or I don't know, disgust. Definitely not happiness though.
Right.
But
Makes me
yeah,
wonder
so that
if sham and shame are etymologically related, because sham is a way of covering.
like when something is a sham, like it's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, that fear of going back to what we were saying about CGS around like
Mhm.
not wanting to hurt someone's feelings and that being like, yeah, because I can see there's almost like a shame. Yeah, like if I were to tell someone else like, hey, you're really frustrating, or I really feel annoyed,
Or you're
or
losing me right now. Every time you
yeah,
start talking, you lose me.
right. Yeah,
Because
that would
it's
be more.
never about what you're feeling or what's happening in the group. It's something that was I think, a big piece of it with this person was talking about stuff outside of the room.
Yeah, or concepts and things that were outside of the room.
Hmm.
And I mean, even though hearing you say that, like when you start to talk about that or like that, or talk about what you're saying right now, you lose me. That actually feels very connected. Like that's a much more relational way than saying like, oh, I feel annoyed or angry or yeah, it's like you lose me. But even saying that, there's that fear.
Totally.
Or
We could talk about our free group.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're doing a free three group series that meets for three Thursday evenings in a row, for three 90-minute groups.
Hmm.
And we got 10 people who signed up,
Yeah.
and we did 10 20 to 30-minute consultations,
Yeah.
which I think after we talked about it and realized, wow, we spent 5 hours
Yeah.
of our time, which
Yeah.
I think was still time well spent because it was better than going,
Totally.
if we hadn't talked to those people, I think that would have been very different going into
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
first group if we had like no idea, no information, no experience of these people.
Totally. I'm really glad we did the consults.
Right. Imagine doing that. That would be an interesting experiment if you had, I'm calling them like a flashbang group where it's just like, it's just a group for like 3 sessions, boom, that's it. You don't know these people. And but if you did that without having consults and just had people sign up, which is what people do in the
CGS,
Austin group. Yeah. Or CGS too. Yeah,
they don't
totally.
vet anyone. Like
Yeah, they don't.
anybody can go to CGS.
Totally. They don't, that is so, they don't fucking vet anyone. So anyone, like I remember one weekend when I did I don't know why they call them workshops because there's just like a 3 hour process group. But yeah, so it's like they call them workshops, but it's a Sunday afternoon. They'll have a topic and then usually give you an article to read. And then the process group, they don't talk about the article, mention the article. It's just a process group for like 3 hours with a break. I did two of those, and there was a guy in one of those who was a therapist, but he refused to talk, and he made that clear. Like it wasn't that he talked about his refusal to talk. Like it wasn't like he was just like zipped zipped lips note, but it was like when someone asked him something, he said, I didn't know that this was an experiential process group, even though it clearly says that on the website when you sign up for it. And he said, I refuse to participate. But he stayed and sat in the group for the entire group. So
Hmm.
everyone just was angry and pissed off at him and projecting all this stuff onto him, and it was like wild. But
Hmm.
he just refused to talk. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that was interesting and cool learning experience. But yeah, they vet no one. There could be someone totally unstable who signs
Right.
up for one of these weekends, and how would they handle that? I wonder.
Right. I know. I'm surprised I haven't encountered more unstable people or any, really.
Right. I mean, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, CGS, even though it's this like training center for modern analytic process groups, they have people that sign up that are going through the whole entire program, not just like one-offs that are not therapists. I mean, there's several people that are in the drama community, a couple of actors. There's one guy that's an anthropologist. Yeah, there's people that are not therapists that are in these process groups, which is fine, and but yeah, they don't vet anyone.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that they do for like AGPS for the Austin Group Psychotherapy Society when they have their institutes. They do them like once or twice a year. Well, they'll do these like Saturday and Sunday, process groups, and they'll usually have 15 to 18 people sign up. And yeah, the therapist that leads it has met nobody. Or I mean, some of the people they might know, but
Well, that's what and we've talked about doing that, and I definitely want to revisit
yeah,
that.
I really want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
maybe in like the fall, like
hmm
November or something, in this free group, which went really well. I
hmm
was so delighted with how our first session went last
Me
Thursday.
too. Yeah.
Um, it's so much fun. People are so interesting.
They really are.
So
People are
much going
fascinating.
on inside of just one person. And then when you put 10 of them together with the invitation to say what you're feeling in the moment,
Right.
yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that was sort of the idea we wanted to, again, this felt like it was like a community offering to, because a lot of people in Asheville don't know what group is or don't fully understand process groups. So we
Yeah, and as
wanted to
we
like,
touched on in the last episode, we get the impression they don't fully appreciate what they are. But
correct. Right.
um, they might seem to know what they are, but it's like, well, if you knew, you would be in a group.
Right. Especially if you're a therapist and
Yeah.
you know the inherent value. Like if for like a lot of therapists, the belief that like you're doing your own work and for most therapists that means being in individual therapy at different points in your life, but being in a process group is like a whole different experience because that's like live, like in living color, like interacting with
So,
people, emotions coming up and things that just don't happen in individual therapy.
yeah, some people say that individual therapy is just prep for group.
Correct, right. Or they like the way that I was kind of sold on group was that it was like graduate level therapy. But yeah, so I don't know, there's a sense that a lot of people don't appreciate the power of group. So we wanted to offer this free group series to kind of like give people the chance to experience a process group for a very time limited, short experience and just see how it goes. And then hopefully we can offer a longer intensive, like over a weekend or even just a Saturday or something, and
Which would not be free.
which would not be free. That would definitely, yes. We want people to pay something because we also find that, I think that was a concern we had with doing this series was if people don't have to pay anything, there's no, they don't have any investment or there's no
Yeah,
energetic emotional exchange. It's like, are they going to take this seriously? Are they even going to show up once they sign up?
yeah. So
Um,
that was a win right out of the gate. All 10 people showed up.
right. Yep. Which I think probably was because we met with them and they already had the
Mhm.
investment of at least 30 minutes of their time. So
Right, right. Yeah.
we didn't freak anybody out, I guess.
Yeah.
Or if we did, they were still curious enough to come. But yeah, I noticed that was yeah, that felt really yeah, I felt delighted like you. I was really like it was just felt very stimulating and like energized and there was a couple people that I think were kind of bringing a lot of stimulating energy that I think
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
uh, good material to work with.
totally.
Yeah.
And, I already was just feeling myself getting existential about it with how short it is. We want people to have the lived experience of how much can happen in a process group
hmm
and how much there is to explore, and
Yeah.
understand and practice. And
Yes.
I mean, I was already feeling that after that first session. It's like, oh my gosh, we're only going to meet 2 more times. That's crazy.
I know. It's like just the tip of the iceberg. But even in that, I felt like it's interesting because I don't know what the other people were thinking or what the other group, the members of the group were thinking of like, oh man, is this I mean, I'm sure they were thinking a lot of things and obviously feeling a lot of things. But like for me, for our experience, I'm like, no, this is group. Like that was doing group, and that was a great first group. Like if this was
Mhm.
an ongoing process group, that would have been a fucking awesome first group. So yeah, I had the same sense of like, oh man, if this was the first group and we only have two more of these, like, man, this group could do some great work together. But
Yeah,
we only have two more sessions.
right.
I know. I'm almost like, how could we keep this going? But who
Well,
knows? Maybe someday we can.
the hope is that they will want to keep it going and we'll figure out a way to keep it going.
Yeah.
Might not be
Yeah.
all one group.
Right.
Um,
Right. We're all 10 of them, but yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully, I think that was, yeah, the other goal in mind was if this piques enough people's interest or tickles that, that urge to delve into the psyche and have a new interpersonal experience that would at least get some of the people to want to join a process group, maybe one of ours, or at least somebody, yeah, to begin someone's journey of being in a process group.
yeah. One of the things that's so fun too about the early days of a new group is all the bridging you get to do and
Yeah.
need to do.
Right.
The,
Yeah.
the earlier in a group's development, the more bridging should be happening to make those connections happen.
Right. Yes.
And it's really
Yeah.
fun and creative to do that.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely did a lot of bridging. Yeah, that's true. You get to do more bridging. Whereas if it was like a group that had already been together for a year, or, I mean, yeah, even, whatever, 6 months, 9 months, some of the bridging we were doing would be like a little bit like almost like we were too active maybe in the group.
Right.
But with a new group, it's no, it's you're just constantly making connections between different people and bringing people in that haven't talked or
Yeah.
getting the whole group to respond.
Yeah. I mean, Ormont said even with well-established groups, you should pretty much everything you say as a leader should be a bridge.
Which I find that interesting, and I could see how that, yes, that makes sense. And also, I'm like, but how? That just seems so wildly. I mean, I see how you could do that, but also it just seems like it's a little bit awkward or something sometimes. I don't know. And I noticed
Yeah.
that the leaders that I have aren't always bridging. I mean, they're
Yeah.
it's
Well,
the one group
it
that
can feel kind of aggressive sometimes to bridge. It's like someone in one of my groups, I did a bridge recently and she was like, that was very direct. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
it
I did
was.
that. In my Friday group, something similar like that happened this past week where I bridged. I forgot what it was, but I asked someone else, like, "Well, why do you think they blah blah blah?" And that person said, "Well, I don't know. I'd rather ask them."
Well,
And just
right, but that's not what we're doing.
right, yeah, yeah. They're like, "I don't know what they're thinking," or yeah, I don't know what they're thinking, and I'd rather ask them directly. I'm like, "But yeah, but why? What do you think?" Uh,
Yeah. Can you see the benefit in saying what you think they're thinking?
of you associating, and because then that gives us something to go, that gives us information about you and also your experience of them,
Yeah.
the whole,
Yeah.
but I guess that could be seen as a
And
resistance.
yeah, and it can be very soothing for the person being asked about to hear themselves be talked about.
Correct, to not be asked directly. I think that's the object oriented questions can be
Yeah.
overwhelming or almost too vulnerable sometimes.
Ego oriented, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, the ego. Yeah, if you're asking someone an ego-oriented question like, well, yeah, what are you feeling right now? If they're already in an emotional and vulnerable state, which makes sense. But yeah, it's funny how people have that kind of like awkward resistance to the bridging sometimes.
Hmm. And in
But
case listeners don't even know what bridging is, you've probably figured it out. But an example is instead of asking someone how they feel, instead of asking, Susan, how do you feel right now? You would ask, Bruce, what do you think Susan's feeling right now?
hmm
And then you're helping create a connection between Bruce and Susan, and we're getting to learn about both of them at the same time.
right,
And also, in asking Bruce, the entire group ends up thinking how they would respond as well. So everyone's
correct,
engaged.
right. Or yeah, asking someone else, what do you think Sarah means when she says connected
Hmm.
or something? Yeah, just anytime you're asking the group as a whole or another member about someone else or the group as a whole. You could be bridging.
Yeah.
Why do
Yeah.
you think the group is being so quiet right now? Yeah, there was a bridge I liked. I think I mentioned this to you that I hadn't like thought of as concretely, or maybe I've been aware of it, or maybe I've even done it before, or had it asked of me. But the sort of bridge of like if someone, like if you were talking to me, if you said something to me or asked me a question, and then the leader asked me, "What do you think Sarah is feeling towards you right now?"
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting bridge. I don't know. I just found that I liked something about that. It's like asking the person who is being asked what the person talking to them is feeling.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
more of like a direct, I don't know what you would call that, a bridge.
And then he came up with wild bridging. The Jacob in question is Jacob Winkler, who is one of our teachers and who runs the Masters of Group Therapy Club that we both attend 3 times a week on Zoom.
What is wild bridging?
It's like you just assign a feeling to someone, even if you don't know that they're actually feeling it, and be like,
Oh yeah. Sarah, why is John so bored right now?
mm-hmm.
Or yeah, like Peter, Jill's just sitting over there thinking, man, why won't he shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
That's a very Jacob kind of question, I think.
Yeah.
We'll have to have him on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll just stare at him and not say anything.
There you go. Yeah. See what it takes to make Jacob uncomfortable if there's anything that could possibly.
Yeah. See if we can make him cry.
Thank you for listening to the Present Moment Process Podcast, the official podcast of the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society. For more information, you can visit our website at ashevillegroups.org or email us at presentmomentprocess@gmail.com.